Hi, Durva. Morning.
Hi, Arvind. Good morning.
Thank you for joining in, and congrats once again on your HSC and ISB admits.
Thank you so much. And firstly, thank you so much for taking out time to speak to me. And it's always nice connecting with you. Uh, it's great chatting and happy to answer any questions or anything, any guidance that I could provide based on my personal experience.
Right. No, thank you for your time, really, because this is, we're done, you're done with the process. You're sure you're busy with your work and going through the visa process and so on. So thanks for taking out uh, here. So the goal is just to get a perspective or sort of like an experience from your side to hopefully help future candidates, future applicants that are applying to these schools, right? Because in a way, I mean, both are quite different, HSC and ISP, in terms of their essay process, in terms of interviews, so on and so forth. So it'd be good to hear from you, your experience. So broadly, I mean, in terms of the structure, just as a broad agenda, we'll start with your background, your experience, why you want to do an MBA, and then sort of talk about the application process itself, CV, essays, etc., and then talk about the interview process at each of these schools, and we can wrap it up with any tips or any advice you have for candidates. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Your background. So, where were you born? Where are you from? We can talk about your upbringing experiences. So,
Sure. So, by qualification, just to begin, I'm a chartered accountant. Give a brief background about myself, I was born in India, but moved to Muscat, which is in Oman, when I was around a year old for my dad's job, where I spent my preliminary years of schooling right up to 12th standard. So, I was brought up in a Maharashtrian household, but in a Gulf country. So, I got to experience met a lot of people from India as well as from different states, as well as a lot of like local people. So this was my initial experience where I was exposed to different cultures and living in a different country, and just being exposed to a lot of different things at a very young age. And as I progressed through my school, I in 11th 12th I decided to pursue commerce because things like accountancy and business studies really excited me. And post completion of my 12th standard, I decided to pursue chartered accountancy. And the avenues for this were really higher in Mumbai. So I decided to make the shift to Mumbai. And in 2017, I moved back here where I started pursuing my chartered accountancy along with my bachelor's from Poddar College. So while I was pursuing CA, as a part of the articleship that is required, mandatory 3 years of articleship training, I joined Deloitte since I think I always had that in me that I wanted to work with a bigger brand and a bigger name to see how corporate world actually works, and because I didn't have any experience prior to this, so I was really excited to see what this experience would hold and what all I would learn. And I think this was my first stint, and it really shaped me as a professional because right from like just drafting a mail to understanding Excel and the things that happen in corporate, this role really taught me that, in addition to, of course, like auditing and accounting related stuff. So once I was
right.
done with my chartered accountancy in 2021, I decided to pivot into finance because it was an area that I hadn't really been exposed to during my Deloitte days, and I was really inquisitive to what it particularly pertains. I very honestly speaking, I wasn't really in depth aware of what what it had in store for me, but I was just willing to explore and see what opportunities it had. So in 2021, post qualification of CA, I joined JP Morgan in their corporate and investment banking department here in Mumbai. So during this experience, I think I got a chance to work with a lot of different teams across different regions, right from like Hong Kong, Singapore, US, Canada. So just across geographies, and this really helped me understand. Not just in the work that is there, but also while you're dealing with different people, how you have to kind of change your working ways and also tweak different things when you're working with cross geographical teams. So I think this experience, in addition to the finance part, really, I think brought out this side and this experience, which I think I hadn't got earlier in my earlier roles. And alongside this, the typical work that we did was like you do in any kind of investment banking, you make pitch decks, you help out onshore teams with any kind of research or any kind of financial analysis that they are required to do so. And while I was doing this, 3 years into the journey, I was promoted to an associate, where I also got a chance to lead a team and actually manage juniors and train them. So this completely opened up another space that was actually managing team members and their own personal goals, along with meeting the team goals and having targets. So. Completely different experience and different challenges that I faced while I was while I'm doing this particular role. So that's a brief about me and something outside of work. I think I've always said I really enjoy swimming, and one thing that also kind of motivated me to do an MBA is I really love speaking and meeting new people and understanding their story and background, which is what was one personal motivation why I wanted to do an MBA and get this kind of experience in addition to a lot of different reasons that I'll speak as we go through
Right.
this session.
Very good. So, and another interesting aspect was you did a secondment with the US team, right? The New York
Yeah,
team, JP Morgan. So can you talk a bit about that?
yeah, sure. So during 2024, I got a chance to go on a secondment experience for around 2 months to the New York headquarter office. It was, I think, to say that it was a great experience would be an understatement, but it was to be able to work in the HQ office of JP Morgan. Was a surreal experience because over here I was actually interacting with clients and actually made responsible for a lot of things that were happening in a live transaction, right from interacting with teams to getting the models in place to actually getting different approvals and analyzing with different teams and getting across things on time for your client was a very different experience, and I had to like constantly be on my toes, and not just in terms of getting things in a timely manner but also maintaining quality and being responsible for your own particular self in front of the client. So I think on the professional front, this was a very great experience. In addition to the personal front, because I've always lived with my parents in Mumbai, even in Muscat. So got a chance to actually independently live here and figure out solutions to different problems. Like it could be right from figuring out basic things like how to reach to work, to figuring out food, to just something day to day things. So living independently also really it kind of built a confidence that I think I somewhere didn't know that I needed this kind of assurance that okay, I could do things by myself and actually figure out things independently. So on the personal front also it really helped me grow as an individual.
Right. New York is also a great place to live, and
Yeah.
right to spend time outside work and so on.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think the first day I went to like New York, and I mean I'd been earlier, but just being there independently and actually having to work, I think is a completely different experience as compared to if you're say coming as a tourist. So it really it was a great city, and it really opened my eyes. I mean, every time I used to walk through those streets, I used to just look up, and you just couldn't see where the building really ends as such.
Right. So, well, you're involved in a number of activities right outside work, think mentorship, food distribution drives, and blood donation camps. So, talk a bit about what are some of the activities you're involved in besides work. How long you've been doing that?
Yeah, sure. So, I've always believed that my work personality was like one part, but I also wanted to explore things outside of work because, like weekdays were really super hectic, and there's always something going on your mind. But over the weekends, I tried to get myself involved in different kind of activities, one of which was being part of Robin Hood Army. So for the ones who don't know, it's an organization that basically collects excess food from wherever, whichever person says, we have some excess food, so we take that and we give it to people who are in need of food. So their main aim is to solve the issue of hunger that is there in India currently. So I was part of the Chembur chapter, where we had so the structure was, we had certain sponsors who used to give food on a weekly basis on every Sunday, and we used to collect it from them and distribute it in an area in Govandi over here, where people were slightly from the underprivileged community, and they were in need of those kind of resources. So just bridging that gap and helping out wherever I could. So this was one thing that I really was passionate about. And apart from this, another thing that I really enjoyed while I was in JP Morgan, so we had a Toastmasters club, which I was a part of. And one of the reasons for doing this was I just really enjoyed speaking to people. But when it came to public speaking, I felt like I was somewhere holding myself back, and I did not really open up that well. So that's the reason that I joined this particular club that was there, and it really helped me develop my skills of speaking in front of a larger crowd and being more confident when you're speaking, and also honing different things that are pertaining to public speaking. Apart
Right.
from this, as I mentioned, that I'm also like a team lead, and I manage juniors and mentor them. This was my first stint where I really realized that I enjoy guiding or mentoring students as well as juniors, and which is why I decided to join the Good Works group within JP Morgan. It's a social, like, it's related to social contribution. So through this, I was actively mentoring students who were from underprivileged communities. So they had either completed their high school, or say they were in their first year of college, just trying to figure out the corporate world. They didn't have the right kind of guidance in terms of helping them figure out how to write a CV, how to build a CV, how to connect or network with people, or how to just even find jobs over LinkedIn. So trying to help them and mentor them and guide them in that right direction. So that was a personal thing that I really enjoyed and took part in during my whenever we had these particular sessions. I made sure to mentor students one on one as well as in groups to help them through their professional journey.
Right. Very good. I mean, and I think this is an important part of the MBA application process, if we were to talk about that in the front of extracurricular, right? Because this is something it's a part of you. I mean, some folks, there's the misconception that because you're applying, you want to start doing an extracurricular maybe, months before an application. But these are things that you've been doing for, in some period of years, right?
Yeah. No, makes sense. So I think I would say that don't join these. Like, of course, they do help in your application, but just find things that really personally interest you and you would enjoy. So things that really, like, personally, I really found things that were close to my heart, like things like mentoring and like solving the issue of global hunger. So that's the reason that I decided to join these things even before I think I had decided to pursue an MBA. So these were things that I had been doing from before, and they just kind of fit into the application process. But just
Right.
find things that really interest you and you're passionate about. So maybe like in the long run, if you want to do an MBA, it probably fits in. But just don't do it for the sole goal of, that it'll be a point on my MBA application.
Right. So let's switch gears a bit to also work. When did you want to do an MBA first, right? When did that thought come to your mind, and what was the motivation?
So I think I think I always wanted to do it. I think a lot of people always want to do it, but it's somewhere during your professional career that you realize that, you know what, I think it's time that I want to explore something else. So I think for me, it was when I went for my first secondment to the India office, where I got a chance to actually see end-to-end deals, like where clients would come to us with a particular strategy in mind, and for which they wanted certain funds to be raised. So they used to reach out to us, and we used to help them structure that deal end to end. Like used to actually start from them reaching out to us to actually disbursing that particular amount to them. During this journey, like after this experience, I realized that we were just helping them structure their own particular strategies that the client had devised already. We weren't really formulating any different plan, or we weren't really strategizing for the client. And what I really enjoyed of this entire part was finding out what was that particular client strategy and why were they trying to implement this at that point of time. So this inquisitiveness really made me realize that maybe I wanted to be on the other side of the table and be on the client side, where I could actually formulate these strategies for the client and implement them and see them come to the market. So that's when I
Right.
realized that, uh, like if I stay within JP Morgan, I can grow and grow to another level. But the kind of work that I do is going to be always implementing strategies for your clients rather than actually devising them. So that's when I realized that uh, it was my initial hint that I think I need to pivot into another role, something on the sides of consulting or strategy or operations, where I could be in the industry and help a particular company grow to another level through these strategies. So that was my initial hint, and that was my main professional reason to pursue an MBA. But apart from this, on the personal front, I think one of the reasons that I really hold, and I've always, even when I had initial conversation with Twisha, I told her this, that I'm a CA, and the way CA course is structured is more of you learning and giving exams. So the learning pedagogy was very different. And when I went through the MBA curriculum and the courses, I realized that the learning pedagogy is extremely different and very practical based experience. So you have peer learning experiences as well as case based study experiences. So it's a completely different way of learning, which I had not been exposed to earlier. And just my personal interest to be able to experience this form of learning was one of the reasons that I decided that, okay, in addition to my professional reasons, I think personally I would like to experience this.
How do you go about the test prep, GMAT preparation? It took a couple of attempts, right? So how
Yeah.
talk?
Yeah, I think before I started the application process, I thought GMAT was the hardest hurdle. But once I started the application, I realized that, okay, that was still something manageable. But speaking about GMAT, like you rightly mentioned, I think I got my target score in the like third attempt. So I started back in 2023 and 2024. So I took some classes and started preparing, but I think my first attempt, it was just a attempt I gave just to see how the exam is. I don't think I'd understood what what the test really requires, or what are the tricks, or how do you what are the tricks, and how do you basically play around with those particular questions, because GMAT is a completely different exam as compared to the kind of exams I had given earlier. It seems like, okay, it's just MCQs, you just have to select one of the options, but it's much more than that. It's much trickier than that. So I think in 23, 24, I studied by myself, took some classes, but I think still I was not very sure on, what is the right path, or there was a lot of conceptual like gaps that I noticed that I had. So in 2025, I took like a particular target test prep, which has like which is good for people who are just beginning off. And I did that, and I also materials I had, I started practicing with that. And I think one major change that I made in my approach in 2025 was I really focused a lot on the error log that everyone says you're supposed to maintain, just to get an understanding of where I was lacking, and also to avoid making those repeated mistakes. Because a lot of time it happens that you make a mistake, you move on, but that's not the thing. You need to really understand why you have made a particular mistake, log it, and also make sure that you do not repeat it. So having a very structured error log for each of the sections and making sure that I go through it every couple of days is something that I did, and something I changed during 2025 which is when I gave my third attempt, and I kind of got the score that I was looking for.
Right. Mm. So in terms of schools, right, the target schools, I think you had three in mind. You applied to two, you got into both of them. You didn't end up applying to the third one.
Yeah.
So talk about how you arrived at that school mix, and what are some of the factors that you considered to look at your target schools.
Sure. I'll probably have it to like I'll first talk about HEC and then I'll talk about ISB, like what way we decide to go for those particular
Right.
schools. So coming to HEC, I think I was always, even when I reached out to you, I was always focused that I'm looking for European schools, top B schools. Something which has a good uh, alumni base and is just known for its own brand value. So HEC really stood out for me for a couple of reasons. I think firstly, the duration. So it's unique structure where it has two intakes, as well as the possibility to do it in 12 months or 16 months. And I think the 16 months uh, felt like a good duration, and felt like a pace at which I would be comfortable, learning pace I would be comfortable. So I think the duration really stood out for me. And secondly, I think the course structure, I mean the way they teach, like I had mentioned, the overall uh, eh, the case based studies, as well as the possibility to do different kind of treks where you actually meet people within the industry, as well as, I think while I was doing the application process, I found out about MBAT, and I was really blown away that there is something like this, of which you could be a part of, and not just participating, but also just actually conducting that entire tournament is in itself a different challenge. So I think these different aspects, like the professors, as well as the different extracurricular activities that HEC offers, stood out. And I think that I couldn't find another school that would give me this kind of wide range of activities and things to be involved in. And apart from this, I think HEC always says it's a very diverse program, and when I say very diverse, it's like 90% diversity. So you meet people and from different backgrounds, and as I had mentioned earlier, my personal motivation, one reason was to meet different people, learn from them, learn from their professional experiences. So the diversity really played in my favor, that it ticked off one thing that I was looking from the MBA program. And apart
Right.
from, I think, apart from diversity, one additional thing, I think, just probably like a tip, HEC also offers you the possibility to do an internship during its program. So that was something that I was really looking for, because I am looking to pivot into an entirely different field as compared to what I was doing pre-MBA. So I really felt like the internship would really help me to find a to experiment with different, like a different role, and understand what actually happens in it, and also the possibility to enter into a particular in a different market. So the possibility of doing an internship is also an important thing, that whenever students, whoever is planning to do an MBA, if you're looking at target schools, please do make sure to look at this particular aspect as well, which is something I wasn't aware of earlier, but realized as I was looking at schools. So these were my primary reasons for HEC. And coming to, I think, ISB, it's a name that has really grown in the last, I think, 15 years or so. And again, similarly, when I was researching courses and I went through ISB's brochure and tried to understand the way they teach, it was again things that I was looking for. It was very practical based, case study based approach, and not a very theoretical kind of way of teaching. So that really excited me, and also spoke to a few alumni and heard from their experience what the school was, and very similar to what I was looking for, the ability to do different things. I think like even ISB has a lot of clubs and a lot of different things that you could do, and meet people again from different backgrounds, because when I was going through even ISB's diversity, I think there are people who are lawyers, who are doctors, who are from really different and various different backgrounds that come over here, and you can actually learn from them. So that again checked off my boxes, and I think just having a school within India which offered the
Right.
same kind of course structure that international universities offer was what played to ISB strength for me at my personal level. So that's the reason that I decided to also apply for ISB, because it was a school who I still say that I uh, really liked the entire course curriculum, and was genuinely like really surprised to see that it had so much similarities in what international programs are currently offering.
Right. And with HEC, you also attended, I think, networking session, right, by the AdCom in India and Mumbai. Um, So talk a bit about that. How was that experience, right? Or what did that teach you about the school, and did it
Mhm.
help in the process?
Yeah, sure. So I think that was a very a great turning point, I would say. Like I didn't realize the importance of attending these events until I actually attended one, because it's not just that the adcom will remember you from that particular event, but one key takeaway that I had during that program was we also got to meet a lot of people who had just gotten into the January intake that was there. So over here I got to meet people who would actually be part of cohort, and the people that I would be interacting on a day to day basis. And I really felt like I could be a part of that entire community. I could fit into that particular group. So just getting that sense of affirmation that, okay, I, really enjoy being in this community, getting that positive vibes, and just feeling like you fit in was something that happened during that event. And it really reaffirmed my belief that of fitting into HEC, and that it really is the place that I want to be. Apart from this, additionally, I think during the event they also tell you a lot about the program, things that you were say not aware about earlier. And one more thing was, when you attend these kind of events, say not in person, but at least if you try to attend them. So even before I attended this in person, I had earlier attended one a call with one of the recruitment managers. And when I went for the event in person in Mumbai, she actually remembered me. She was like, "Oh yeah, hi, we've connected over mail. We've exchanged certain mails." So I think just having that kind of connect, they do remember, and that really I think stands out, because they realize that okay, you're really genuinely keen on that particular school. So just to probably like a tip to any prospective applicants, just feel free to just go through their pages, reach out to adcoms as much as you can, because I think I reached out to a couple of adcoms, and all of them are super helpful and very responsive. So they'll get back to you very fast, and they are also really proactive in having coffee chats and just meeting over a quick Zoom call. So just do that and try to understand more about the program, so that not just from understanding the program perspective, but also it'll help you decide whether you really fit into that particular program and you could actually
Right.
grow with the cohort.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great point. So let's switch gears a bit, so on to your working experience, right, with us. You worked with Prisha. Prisha was your mentor through the process. So talk about how the process was, different aspects, CV, essays. even interviews, knocks, and so on.
Sure. So I think after the admit, the first thing I told Tuisha was I couldn't have done it without you guys. I think super, super, super helpful the team has been, both you and Tuisha. I think talking about the overall process, so it was a very structured process. I had reached out to you back in July or so, and you had first reached out to me with a certain questionnaire that, okay, let's start with this. Let's understand your overall background, and just have a just introspect into your entire journey and fill out different kind of questions and answers to that. So that was my first step of just getting a hint of, okay, what was going to come during the application process. So the first step where I spoke to Tuisha, started with this questionnaire, gave in my CV for a brief review to understand whether it was in lines or what kind of changes were required. So these were my initial steps, I think, that you had suggested. And then as we began the main application process, where we actually started writing the essays and reviewing them, I think it was extremely structured in the way that I remember Twisha planning out the deadlines for each of the schools, for the essays, for the CVs. So there were like specific deadlines for each portion. So okay, CV we have to get done by this day, first draft by this day, the first draft for essays would come by this day, and I think it was uh, not just from my end, but also there was a lot of proactiveness from your end. Like if you said that you were going to give me comments on this date, you did give me feedback and comments on that particular date. And there was a very particular time that we were following, that okay, this is the day that you have to get back to us. And it really helped me stay within the, I think, time frame that we had set for ourselves, and meeting the application deadlines, which is as you know, extremely important if you want to apply in a particular round. And one thing that I also mentioned to Twisha was, uh, you really made the application process in such a manner that even though you helped me and guided me through the process, in the end, when I now read the CV, when I now read the essays or the CV, it feels like, okay, this is all me. This is my story that I have put forward. Uh, what I really liked through the process and of engaging admitStreet, you, Arvind, and Twisha, was that you just made sure to nudge me in the right direction rather than telling me what has to come into my CV or essays. You just gave me the right direction to think on what lines I should be thinking or what kind of things I should be including, rather than telling me, include this, include that. It was more of, Durva, think at a broader level, think in this manner, and try to figure out some kind of your personal experience which are in this particular line, rather than telling me that do this or do that, or just straight away changing my
Right.
essays completely. So I think that really helped a lot to keep the essays authentic while also bringing a structure to that entire essay.
Right.
And one thing I think lastly that I really liked about Twisha and you was your feedbacks were very straight and to the point, that Durva, this is not working out. This needs to be changed. Like, if you want that admit, you need to really work on this particular area. So, be getting that particular feedback and constantly being reminded that this is what you need to tweak in order to get your essay to that level where your story reaches to the adcom uh, was super helpful, I would say, because I think when you're doing that application process by yourself, you're just writing, you're reading, and you don't see where there are gaps and where you
Right.
could improve. So, uh, Twishan, you really helped me see those areas and really bring out the entire application, and which really helped me get that admit, I think.
Right. Right. Yeah. Thank you. And I think it was primarily Twisha, right? I was more in
Yeah.
the final reviews, just like
Yeah.
more as a quality check. But that's a great point that you mentioned, is we don't, you know, ask you or tell you what to write, right? Because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's your story, your
Right.
experiences. You've, been through, been there and done that. So it's more, and neither do we write the essays. Unlike, I mean, some consultants are into that practice,
Yeah.
which is not ideal in my view, because it's your experience. it's best that it comes out through your,
Correct.
you know, so we're here more to nudge you, guide you, ask you questions, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, and so on. So I'm glad that, and it has to, it's a two-way street, right? I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, even if we do our part, only if you're normal, if you keep track of the timelines, the action plan, and so on, it works. And it was great, I think, to work with you as well, because I know you were also busy with your job and you had to juggle multiple things, but to make sure that you were able to work on the feedback or ask questions also, right? If something's not clear, sometimes it needs clarifications and so on, right? So, right, great. So let's
And
talk a bit about, yeah, sorry.
sorry to interrupt. Just one point I think I missed was I think both of you being HEC alumni, and I think there were a lot of things that I also learned about HEC while that entire process was happening. So that was also really very helpful. Like few things that probably would not, through my personal research, I would have found out. So I think that was also definitely a brownie point, and thanks a lot for that as well.
Let's we will talk a bit about the interview process at FSC and ISB, quite different in terms of the format, the kind of topics or questions you can ask. So how was your experience like during interviews?
So, I'll probably speak about the HEC interview, which I think was a really different experience. I mean, when I found out from earlier admits that, okay, you need to make a presentation, and I was like just taken aback a little bit. I'm like, I need to make a presentation? Okay, but on what? Just anything. So the first 10 minutes of your HEC interview are going to be a presentation that you have made on a topic of your choice, over a presentation the way you have structured it. So the first 10 minutes are all you, and they just want to basically see how you are entirely structuring that presentation, how are you presenting it, and how well you are able to convey your points and speak in that 10-minute free time that is given to you. So I think it was a very different experience. And even so sorry, I missed to say, for HEC we have two alumni interviews, and
Right.
for me both of them were very different. So the first interview she was from a consulting background, so and my presentation was around a plan to develop a particular park. So she really nudged me on a lot of asked me a lot of questions around the plan and the how successful it would be, and what would be the different revenue drivers, and just a lot of questions about the plan, I think. And then we went into the main like interview experience. Whereas for the other interview, they didn't really ask me a lot of questions on that particular plan, but they were chatting more around other aspects, other questions that they wanted to cover in the interview. So just a brief structure, I think. Once the 10-minute presentation was done, for the first interview, I think I was just asked in general about my personal motivation to do an MBA. And I think one question that maybe professionals who have like slightly more experience, say 4 5 years, like in my case, they ask that, okay, why at this particular point? What made you decide to do it at this particular point in your life? So that was a question that was common across both interviews. And just other questions could be that, why do you want to do it in France? And you do know, right, there's a like language barrier that is there. And just you just need to be very authentic and be able to answer your own personal reasons during these interviews, is what I have realized. They don't want some answers that are rehearsed and prepared. They just want to have a conversation and understand your personal motivation for doing an MBA, rather than giving some rehearsed answer where it doesn't seem like it's you, or doesn't align with your application that you have sent across to the school. Because your interviewers do have that essays and CVs,
Right.
so they do know a lot about you already, but they just want to make sure that everything aligns, and your motivation to do an MBA is very solid. So I think HEC was a great experience and a very different experience, I would say, as compared to ISB. So coming to the ISB interview experience, uh, it was my first in-person interview experience, I would say. So really different, wherein first we were asked to answer few behavioral, like two behavioral questions, where they give you a situation and they just want you to type out whatever you think you would do in that particular situation. So there are two questions, roughly around 20 minutes, and you have to type it out over your laptop. And this just has to be you thinking out loud what you would do had you been actually put into that particular situation, and just giving your most authentic answer over there. And once this segment is done, you're again taken back to the main room, where waiting room, where all the other interviewers are there. And you're called in based on whenever the interviews are ready, and there are usually 2 to 3 interviewers. In my case, there were two who were asking different questions. So one interviewer really wanted to know what is my weakness. So he asked me one weakness. I gave an answer, and he was like, okay, but I want to know one more. So, you have to really be on your toes whenever you're in these interviews. You probably prepared for XYZ question, but they could really ask you something completely different. So
Right.
just you need to be able to think on your toes at that particular moment. And I think you just need to convince the interviewers of your answers, and again, shouldn't feel like rehearsed, or something that doesn't really align with your applications or your essays that you have sent into the school. In ISB, I think one thing that they wanted to know particularly was that why do you not want to like stay in your current role? Like JPM is a really good brand name. You have solid experience over here. You could grow within this firm. So why not that? So they were really focused on understanding what was my motivation to leave a role, a really great role with a good company, and uh, go for an MBA, which is a huge investment. So they did ask, why do you want to make such a huge investment? What is your personal motivation to do so and leave a good company? So ISB really focused on that aspect. So I think both interviews, I think the interview process really depends from school to school, as well as what you have conveyed through your essays and CV. So just one tip I
Right.
would give to everyone is be confident, and just have a conversation with the interviewers, rather than making it like a Q&A or something like that. They're just trying to understand your goals, and whether what you're trying to achieve is something that the college would help you reach. So just have a conversation, and like not to stress too much about it. It's just trying to understand your motivations, and whether it aligns with the school.
Right. Right. And, how did the mocks help? I think you did mocks both with
Yeah,
Twisha and we did one, right?
yeah,
Because there's a I always say there's a balance between, yes, you have to prepare pointers, etc., structure, but you don't want to sound too scripted either, right?
yeah.
Because if you go through or do too many mocks, or
Yeah,
there's the same or similar questions get asked. So how
yeah,
was the mock process
yeah,
like?
yeah. So the mocks were very helpful. I think so as you mentioned, we had 3 mocks over like a span of, I think, 3 4 days. So like the first mock, I was really underprepared, because what my thought was, it has to be more conversational. So preparing won't really help out a lot. But what was happening in the first mock was I was kind of blanking out. Like I didn't even have pointers in my mind if asked a certain question. I didn't even have pointers ready. That's when Twisha told me that you don't really need to rehearse or prepare each and every answer, but at least have like a few bullet points on the top of your mind, that, why MBA. So you need to know, okay, pivot into strategy or personal reasons. So just having those bullets really helped structure my interview much better, as compared to now when I think about the first mock. And even when I had the second mock with you. You gave a lot of good feedback points on how I could structure it in a better manner and things I could change in my presentation. And while I reached, I think the third interview, I think rehearsed so many times that Tuisha said, don't like it's going good, but don't make it sound like you have rehearsed a particular answer. It has to come off really naturally. So just trying to find that good balance on, being prepared, but not to the level that you have really like learned by your answers by heart. Just probably one tip that really helped me that Tuisha gave me was just have pointers ready in your mind. So any kind of question asked, if they ask you your strengths, your weaknesses, you don't need to have an entire like script ready, but you just need to have those bullet points on top of your mind, which was a tip that really helped me through that entire interview process, and which is what I think made my interview go much smoother than I think my first mock that I had with Twisha.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you for, I think, the detailed debrief, right? So it's super specific, detailed on all the aspects that you cover in the application process. So to wrap it up, what are your tips or insights or pieces of advice, right, for candidates, for applicants looking at MBA programs?
So, I think first thing that I always tell whenever MBA applicants or anyone who's planning to do an MBA is thinking through, I think first just figure out the why an MBA and why now. Just have that really clear in your mind, because through this entire process, I've realized that schools are really keen to understand that very well, because they want to genuinely understand, are you just doing an MBA because it's something that a lot of people are doing, or do you have your own personal reasons, which is why you want to do an MBA. So just have a reason of why MBA and why now fixed in your mind. Secondly, I think research different schools that are there, because while programs could be really good, you also need to understand whether you would fit in well into that particular program. So it is not just about a program being good, but it's also about you fitting into that program and actually growing with your peer group as well. So that is from the program perspective. And third, I think speak to people as much as you can, because while an MBA brochure tells you a few things, when you actually speak to alumni from different colleges, or even just speaking to like consultants, you get a lot of different perspectives, I would say, which are not reflected through say college websites, or say different kind of statistics that are there on the web. So just speak to people, and specifically reach out to adcoms of the schools that you're targeting, because they really uh, they really remember you. So when your application actually goes in for consideration, say you have met that particular adcom for any event or any networking event, whether offline or even online, they really remember you. And when the entire your application is being evaluated, that is also I feel a thing that is considered, that shows your interest in that
Right.
particular school. So just make sure to attend these events and understand the school and interact with and network with people. That really helps a lot. And I cannot stress enough on that. I personally wasn't aware of how important this is before I actually did this, like met people and went
Right.
for these networking events. But I think it's super helpful, and Arvind and team really helped me keep a track of all the different events that were happening for different schools. So because there are a lot of schools that you're considering, and there are a lot of events that are happening, so there's a chance to miss out. But I think Arvind's team helping me keep a track really made sure that I attended the important ones and also spoke to the adcoms myself. So just make sure to
Right.
do that.
Okay. Right. Good. Thank you again, Tura,
Thank
for your time, and all the best for your time at Prissy and France. And looking forward to you doing greater things in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arvind. And again, thank you very much for your team and all their support that they have given me. Like I mentioned, this would have definitely not been possible had it not been for Twisha and you. Super helpful, and would always love to stay connected with the team. And I'll keep you posted on how my journey is going, and anything else. I'll always reach out to you as a, I think,
Right.
really great mentor to have.
Right. Absolutely. And it was our pleasure. My pleasure working with you. Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.